Moon Letter, Astrological Podcast.
Nessus, the Bad Boy of the Centaurs, by Ben Belinsky. Nessus was a centaur, part of the gang that used to roam the hills of Greece back in mythological times. Nessus, probably the meanest of the whole lot. He's got what you might call a previous record. He was involved in that riot at the wedding of Perithous, king of the Lapiths, when the centaurs got drunk and tried to abduct and rape the bride and other female guests. And the centaurs ended up in a full-scale battle with their hosts, the Lapiths. The next time we find Nessus, he's working as a ferryman across the river Evenus, and who should come along but Hercules and his lady Deianira. She's a beauty, of course. Nothing less would do for the heroic Hercules. Problem is, the boat's too small for all three of them. So mighty Hercules offers to wade across, while his lady travels in the boat with Nessus. As I said, the lady is a beauty, and Nessus, never being one to pass up an opportunity, decides to have his way with her once the boat has reached the other side, and while Hercules is still halfway across. Her screams get her husband's attention, and he draws his bow and shoots one of his poison arrows, hits Nessus, who's dying now. And as he's dying, he tells Deianira to take some of his blood and sperm to use as a love filter if she ever fears that her husband might stray from her. She believes him. So, years later, Hercules is off on a mission. "Bye, honey, keep the bed warm for me," one of his corny lines. Deianira smiles benignly. "Take this tunic, husband dear, and wear it in memory of me." She's impregnated the tunic with the love potion that Nessus gave her. She sees Hercules waving from the hilltop. She waves back. Then as she turns, she sees a drop of the so-called love filter fall to the ground and start fizzing and bubbling. Deianira realizes Nessus' trick. This is no love potion. This is deadly poison. Nessus' blood still carried the poison from the arrow that killed him. Quickly she sends a messenger to tell Hercules not to put on the tunic, but is too late. The poison is burning into his muscular gym-toned form like napalm. Tries to tear it off, but is tearing off lumps of his own flesh with it. Finally, in agony, he begs his own son to light a funeral pyre so that he can lie on it and die. But did Hercules ever remember the prophecy that said no living man could ever kill him? Right, no living man, but a dead centaur killed him. This piece of research began with a prayer. I was due a transit of Nessus over my Jupiter in Aquarius in the 11th house, and I wasn't looking forward to it. I mean, Nessus has a nasty reputation. My fantasy kicked in. I should mention that I have Pisces rising, and with it my fear. In my mind, Nessus was becoming an enemy, and I was to be attacked by this monstrous centaur who had killed the hero Hercules from beyond the grave. What chance did I stand? In my imagination, Nessus became the street-wise urban thug who would cheat, lie, and manipulate to get what he wanted, or if he couldn't get it, to get revenge instead. Scary stuff, but I know what happens if you approach a situation with fear. You're in line for a self-fulfilling prophecy, since energy follows thought. So I thought, well, if Nessus is going to be around, I want him as my ally, not as an enemy, and I tried to imagine what that would mean. And this is what I said to him. Nessus, I need your street wisdom to tell me who the poisoners are. I need you to tell me who's going to cheat me or rip me off on whatever deal. I need your cunning to get me through whatever tight spots life puts me in, and to see the shit coming before it hits. But I don't want your vengefulness. I gotta rise above the need to get back, get even, whatever the deal. 'Cause that revenge can create karma that goes round and comes round and carries from beyond the grave. Stuff that can curse and lead to all sorts of consequences down the ancestral line or the line of incarnations. I don't want to set up shit like that. With Nessus as my ally, I can spot the con artists, the scam merchants, and the shysters. I've learned a bit more street wisdom. I've probably substantially increased my chances of survival. You see, with my Jupiter in Aquarius, I tend to walk around with a very idealistic, and some would say naive, view of humanity. Thanks, Nessus. A few months later I get a call from Charlie, a long-term musician friend of mine. He's been getting email from an astrologer in the States, telling him that he has this magical window of opportunity coming that lasts 56 days, when Pluto and the Moon will be in exactly the same place they were when he was born. So I tell him that's bollocks. The Moon comes back to its natal place once every 28 days, so no big deal. Pluto, on the other hand, has a cycle of 248 years, so unless he's been lying to me about his age, that is just not on. He tells me that confirms his suspicions, 'cause the astrologer from the States keeps improving her offer, reducing her prices. For only $40, this once-in-a-lifetime magical window of opportunity, etc. Stinks of scam, I tell him. I thought so, he says. Then a few weeks later we're in a restaurant, and Charlie tells me he's had the attention of another couple of scamsters. One, a classic 419 scam, known formally as an advance fee fraud. The name comes from the part of the Nigerian civil code banning such illegal activities. The scam works as follows. You receive an email asking for your help, telling you that a member of government or other important person has died intestate, and there's a few $1 million at stake, and they need a safe bank account to pass the money through. In gratitude for the use of your bank account, they will give you the odd $1 million. Usually these letters are plausible. If you reply, there are phone calls, maybe meetings to set things up, and then they tell you they need a couple of thousand up front for administrative costs, and then maybe more money for other expenses like lawyers, etc., and you find that you're just paying out, and they, having got as much as they think they can from you, just disappear. Believe me, many intelligent, educated people have been suckered like this. University lecturers, eminent scientists, solicitors, all left-brain people who are unaware of being manipulated emotionally. And the hook, of course, is greed. But Charlie has been round the block a few times and decides to play with the scammers. Scam baiting, they call it. He enters into a dialogue with them. They suggest he flies out to Dubai for a meeting, but when he starts asking for more assurances, they start pouring on the emotional pressure. How this person is suffering, how they thought they could rely on him, and he gets back to them not to be so emotional, and he wants to deal with this in a business-like way. He also reminds them that it's going to cause a lot of suspicion if he suddenly pays a few million into his current account. Eventually the emails stop. They realize they're wasting their time, and they give up. Then a bit later he gets a completely unrelated offer. An entrepreneur is setting up a gig and wants to use Charlie's band. Good fee. £2,500. Fine. So he gets the gig organized, and the entrepreneur sends him a cheque for the fee. But the cheque is made out for £4,000. So he contacts them, and they say, "Whoops, administrative error. Please bank the cheque and send us the difference." So he pays in the cheque, but, being a canny sod, waits 3 days for it to clear. While he's waiting, he gets messages from the entrepreneur asking him where is the money he was going to send them. He tells them the check hasn't cleared yet. Then he gets the message from the bank that the check has bounced. Apparently, a number of checkbooks were stolen from a company, and the thieves have been trying to pass these checks off to get cash by using a number of similar scams. The well-paying gig was never going to happen, of course. It was just a lure, and fortunately most of the other members of the band were able to find other work for that evening. So Charlie and me are sitting in the restaurant while he's telling me all this, and it pops into my head that, hang on a minute, 3 scams. There's something going on. It must be Nessus involved. And when I have a chance to check his chart and transits, there it is. Charlie's natal sun is in the last degree of Aries, and Nessus is transiting square to it. Bingo. Then I check his natal Nessus because I want to see how he managed not to be conned, and he has Nessus in Taurus in the 7th, exactly opposing his Mars in the 1st house in Scorpio. Plus he has Scorpio rising. I tell him what's going on, and that he has the ability to undertake such scams himself if he chooses. He tells me that he's looked at that part of himself and he chooses not to. That's why he's a friend. A conman is a particular type of thief. He doesn't just break into your house or car and take what is valuable. He doesn't threaten you with a knife in the street or jump you from behind in a dark alley. He gets you to believe a story in order to steal from you. There's stealth involved. There's a lie involved. You've been conned, gulled, suckered, and that hurts just as much or more than the material loss. There are other types of con as well. From the point of view of the street kid we met before, he trusts nobody, least of all the social and political system. For him, the whole of the government is a con, the military is a con, religion is a con. Compared to them, his little scams and deals are very small beer indeed. I want to look some more at the mythology of Nessus. He's got this reputation as the poisoner, but let's look at where the poison came from. So just to remind you of the story, Hercules died when he put on the tunic that had been soaked in the so-called love philtre made from the blood of Nessus. Nessus had died from Hercules' arrows, which were tipped with the poison that Hercules got from the Linnaean Hydra, the monster with 9 heads that lived in the swamps. Hydra was a poisonous water snake. Water represents the feeling or emotional function. The poison had its origin in emotional poison. Emotional poison is just as destructive, or even more so than any physical poison. It can make us ill, or it can kill us. Unexpressed grief or anger, unresolved hate, even the pain of unexpressed or rejected love can eat away at us emotionally, spiritually, or physically. An emotional hurt caused by an unkind word or deed can stay with us all our lives. And if you think in terms of many lives, that poison can be transmitted from parent to child, from life to life. Karmic memory is emotional. Note, we're not talking about thoughts here, or sensations, or intuitions. It's emotion that carries the poison. And those who are the most vulnerable are those individuals who are undeveloped, let us say, in the emotional arena. They may be able to wield formidable intellects, but when it comes to feelings, they are lost. And that typifies much of Western society, an over-dependence on the intellect, so that emotion is sidelined or considered as an also-ran. And by ignoring emotion, we become vulnerable to emotional manipulation, which is exactly what happens in politics, in advertising, in journalism. In the e-book, Nessus, the Bad Boy of the Centaurs, we explore the influence of Nessus through the lives of the famous and infamous of history, politicians, political strategists, those who have used their power and position to abuse others. The aim of this book is to wise up the marks, to give you an understanding of the influence of Nessus, to sharpen your awareness of danger and increase your chances of survival on the mean streets. Check out moonletter.co.uk for more details.
And for more astrological and spiritual musings, check out moonletter.co.uk.